our very good friend Rahman Osman, he's based in London. He's on the line. We'll just get a few minutes of his own thoughts on all of this. Rahman, hi, good evening. Can you hear me? Yeah, Adabraka is okay. I can tell you that everybody is up in arms over the Black Stars, and everybody wants player A to be in player B. I mean, you are one of us. You are outside. First question, your thoughts on everything you've heard and all the rumors flying about on who should make it, who shouldn't make it, and how are the Ghanaians there respond? Have you had any Ghanaian ask you that, Rahman, why is the Black Stars looking like this ahead of the World Cup, which starts in a few days?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Nathan. And yeah, it's kind of crazy because I went to Dalston, which is somewhere in North London. I actually met a Ghanaian called Selik, and the first thing he was asking is, why is the squad not out? And why is the team not out and all that? So it's the same thing. So I'm listening to Nimle actually increase the temperature in the studio, and it's been going on and on and on, which is quite really interesting. And I'm reminded of when we first started Sports Panorama, and he had a lot of energy and he was quite really assertive with what he has to say. That never changes. But yeah, with how things have been done, I think that we've run ourselves into a ditch again, which is quite really sad, because the first mistake we made was making that 55-man squad public. And I agree with most of the things Nimle has said, but the FA got it wrong by making it public, in that if every country presented a 55-man squad, but the best practice was not to make it public, because the moment you make it public, you generate a certain level of debate to 55 players and their friends and their families and their friends in the media and their PRs and all those stuff. And that's where we are now. So you listen to coach saying, oh, this person should be there because he's on the list. If it wasn't public, then nobody knew how many players they had to disappoint. And all this person has been dropped, this person has been called up. It's because they speak to their friends. Ashimere is telling his friends that, oh, I got a call, they said I wasn't in it. And it drives off emotions and people begin to react. And beyond the reaction, we pit players against each other. And this is where my concern is. We need to be very careful what we say to the public with one player against the other. So if we're making a point for one player, we can make a point for that player without necessarily damaging the other player for the interest of the team. This is quite really important, because if we have to run down one player to get one player in that, it affects the spirit of the team. We all want to do well. And the problem is from the national, the handlers of the national team, honestly, because a classical issue of Jeffrey Schlupp, and there was a lot of effort to get Jeffrey to come in, and they've been speaking to him, and finally they got him to say, okay, yes, I'll do it. And then just before they cross the line, something comes up and they are saying, okay, we can't have him again. And then he also tells his friends, he tells his people, and the spirit behind the team. Most of the time, most of our teams do well when there's a good spirit behind it, when the bond beyond the team is really good. So my point, I'm just asserting, this is the first point, we have to be very careful with the commentary we put out with the team, so we don't damage the spirit of the team. Because you can't have, if you have the best players, or you pick the best players and they are not united, they won't perform. The second thing I want to say is that the national team is not a player of the month collection. So
it's not a player of the month collection.
Yeah. It's not. Honestly, we used to have that here in England, where the previous managers will call the best performing player. Oh, Lampard is doing well at Chelsea. Gerrard is doing well at Liverpool. And they add all of them and they go for major tournaments, and it doesn't work. Most managers have now decided that I'm going to build a core where they will form the core of the team. And then every now and then we keep a wider net to look at players who can come in and give us something more. So you can make, if we are to go by players on form, then we'll have to be changing the team every time we call it. Nathan, it's only logic, because players come in and out of form.
Okay, Rahman, just wrap it up. We have another, but just conclude. Yeah, just conclude your point, and then we can move on.
Yeah. So just to end on that, it's quite really important that Otto's made so many mistakes, but the way he's going about this list, and he's standing up a lot to the FA behind the scene, because they are trying a lot to put in players, and he's not agreeing with them. A lot of Ghanaians are not giving him credit for that, and I don't agree that he's still staying at Dortmund, barely 10 days to the World Cup. But one thing I can say for sure, he's fighting so much to have the core of that team go with him. Thank you, Nathan.
All right, Rahman, I'm sure we'll have a longer conversation at another time, but we appreciate your input. So take care. Much love from this side to you, and I'm sure we'll talk again.
Thank you too. Much love too.